This video is going to go over some of the top problems that we've come to find on this generation Lexus IS250. Let's start along the rear. Now, if you're hearing an odd clunking noise while driving over bumps, you probably have an issue with the rear suspension on this vehicle. As we make our way down, if you were to look behind the rear wheel, you're going to find that you have a rear shock with a coil spring attached to it. The coil spring itself is known to go bad. Whether it's cracked or completely broken, it could shift, causing a creaking noise or even a clunking noise. If it is bad, you want to replace it, and when you do it as a pair. Make sure you get yourself a four-wheel alignment. If you found that you had a starting condition, whether your vehicle cranked but did not start, or it did start and eventually stalled, you might have an issue with the throttle body. Good news about this, the throttle body's right out in the open, and it's very easy to service. Now, for this in particular, you might find that you have carbon buildup. If that's the case, you could either try to clean it or you could replace it. But either way, you definitely want to do a relearn procedure. If you attempt to start the vehicle during a cold start and you find you have a misfire condition, you can feel a vibration throughout the entire passenger compartment, or your check engine light comes up with any of these misfire codes, you might have an issue with the tune-up. Obviously, you want to check and service that as necessary. Something that's common on these, though, is a valve adjustment. If you did find that you needed to have a valve adjustment done, that's something that should be done by a trained professional. It's not necessarily something that I would want to do in the driveway. Now, creaks and clunks are common on these vehicles. We already talked about the noises coming from the rear of the vehicle from those coil springs. Along the front, you're going to have steering and suspension components that you need to thoroughly diagnose if you are hearing that audible clunking noise. You're going to have ball joints, tie rod ends, you'll have sway bar links, sway bar bushings, front struts, and of course the mounts for those. Any of these things can cause noise. Once you've diagnosed and found what you need, order it from oneauto.com, possibly even as a kit, and we have fast and free shipping. Now, since we know that these models have an issue with the steering and suspension, of course you want to make sure you check your tire tread depth as well. Any issues with the suspension can cause premature tire wear, something to pay attention to. You want to make sure you take a quick measurement. These vehicles have all-wheel drive. For an all-wheel drive vehicle, you need to make sure all four of your wheels that are touching the ground have approximately the same amount of tread. If for some reason one is worn considerably lower than the others, you're going to find that you have a drivability issue and you can potentially do some damage to either the transmission or the transfer case.